about what they're trying to solve, what the pain points are, and that they use that information to turn around and create content online to solve those problems. And this can apply to pay-per-click also, by the way. I've really sort of written it from a organic SEO point of view, but it can certainly apply to writing great ad copy. So Google is the tool. It's not the solution, it's the tool. And you as a business owner, the better you understand your customer and their intention at each step of the game, the better you will be able to meet those needs through content and being recognized in the rankings. And one more concept that is really important is the difference in intention in search. So definitional, usually people are pretty far away from buying when they're asking definitional questions or posing, like, you know, they type in a word they've never heard. But sometimes, as we'll see in the smart TV example, it might truly be at the, to use an old term, a top of the funnel thing. And then informational, you're getting a little bit closer. They're really in their research stage, okay? You know, what is the best smart TV versus, you know, what is a smart TV? Somebody might not know that. And then what we want to do is figure out how to attract the rankings for transactional, sometimes informational, if you're willing to write the content to keep them interested so that you can walk them into a transaction. But we really want them to get transactional. Best price on a smart TV. This is somebody who's ready to buy. The only thing that may hold them back is waiting for Black Friday. So, which is actually, did y'all know that Walmart is going to have it all November? Black Friday is going to be all of November. I think every Monday. So here's an example of a journey map for a smart TV buyer. And the journey maps can have a variety of different kinds of phases. I've chosen a very simple one of awareness, research, purchase, and loyalty. It really, to me, in my mind, it really doesn't matter. What matters is that you're thinking about your customer's journey, the touch points, and all of those things that you can use a journey map for. So I'm going to use this journey map, which shows in the awareness, the early, like they're just sort of like they have a broken TV, they're divorcing cable, they want to know if they can afford it. They're just trying to figure out if a smart TV is even like what it is, or is it for them? What kind of changes would they have to make that happen? Would they have to get better Wi-Fi? All of those kinds of questions. In the research, they're really starting to hone in on, okay, what size and what model and what features and stuff like that. And then with purchase, they're really into comparing, price shopping, finding out where it's in stock, etc. And then an often forgotten part of customer journey is the loyalty. And that's just where, you know, support, returns, warranty, customer service, all of those kinds of things that get that customer going back, coming back to you. All right. So the reason I'm here today is to talk to you about how do you use this to guide your SEO, to guide your keyword choices, your content strategy, etc. So these are only a few examples, but if they're maybe a technophile, so we're thinking about that type of customer coming in, they are wanting to know about the latest smart TVs, right? They're still in the awareness stage. They know what smart TVs are, but latest smart TVs or smart TVs for streaming, someone divorcing cable. So these are they're not really anywhere near purchasing, but they're thinking about it. They're trying to decide what fits them, what's right for them. And as they move through the funnel with research, they're going to be looking for like best smart TVs, maybe even particular models like the Samsung QN model I've listed there. The dimensions on it, that's one whole keyword, by the way. That wasn't even clear to me when I glanced at it. So what you're trying to do is really get inside the mind of your customer at each of these stages. And one of the best ways, and it's very tedious, but it is the way to get to the juiciest way to do this, pun intended, by the way, is that you want to do keyword research around groupings of these. So we're talking about smart TVs. You want to put in latest smart TVs and smart TVs for streaming and see what happens. Kind of go down that technophile, try to think of all the words that a technophile might use to look for a TV. And you want to do that keyword research and see where your volumes are, where your moderate to low competition is, where the volume is a little high. Because unless you're very blessed and you have a website that's been around for a long time and it has great content and it ranks pretty decently anyway, you're going to have to go for those longer tail, less competitive, lower volume keywords. And longer tail means that it's a more specific, like latest smart TVs is longer tail than smart TVs, and smart TV model comparisons is longer tail than latest smart TV. So it isn't always necessarily a longer word, but it's a more specific thing. So you want to combine, most people use Google Keyword Planner. If you don't do pay-per-click advertising and have a campaign that you're spending money on, Google gives you very high-level data. They tell you that volumes fall within a range. It's still useful, but if you definitely do your keyword planner tool usage with logged into a campaign that you're paying for, because they'll give you more data. So I didn't know if you'd ever noticed that. But for each type of, like the technophile, the kind of divorcing cable, all of those different kinds of customers, you want to think about those keywords that they would use, put them in there, and then you'll discover more keywords along the way. And I just keep I guess I should have grabbed one of my analyses, and so I could show you. I don't know if I can think of one really quickly. Let me see here if I can find one.
Wanda, are you sharing your slides? Because we're still seeing slide 1.
Yeah, I am. It says I'm screen sharing.
Yeah, it's just on screen. It's just, we can see your slide.
Oh, no. I'm glad you stopped me. Well, hang on. Hang on, I'm trying to, words, keyword. I'll try that one. That's not one that's marked up. Okay, let me see what I can do about that situation.
Do you have 2 screens? Are you on your laptop? Oh.
I'm on my laptop.
We can see the one big slide. So it looks like we can see the Google slides you've got, but it's just staying on the same one.
I wonder if it's somehow sharing, because I happen to think it may be open in another. Let me just try again.
Sure.
Thank you for letting me know. Not that one. This one.
There we go.
Okay, so now's it
Yep, that's it.
changing. So it's changing now. you're muted, but I think you said yeah. Okay, perfect. Sorry about that. So let me go over, I didn't think about grabbing one of my, this one is not marked up. That's okay. So what I typically do, this is a keyword analysis out of the keyword planner. And what I usually do is I come in here and I'll I'll put topic and I'll put notes and I'll grab if it's a local search, that kind of thing. And I will sort these. Let's see how fast I am today. Didn't do that right. Well, and I'll sort these by usually topic. I usually go through them and say, okay, well, these are kind of all like Samsung related or Technify related, or kind of however you're slicing and dicing it for either your content strategy or your pay-per-click. And then I will sort them by topic and then by average search. I did that wrong. Okay. And then I'll just go through. All these are high competition, so it's not, there's a couple of mediums, but that's how I look at it, is I try to kind of find sweet spots where the competition is lower, but there's still some, here's some low ones. So if I sold Stills brand home elevators, I would write some content about that. Or if I'm a great competitor to them, I might write competition content for that. So that is how I kind of I come up with the keywords by just like logically thinking about it, because I know my business, or perhaps you help your clients think through that. And then you test those in your Google Keyword Planner and try to come up with some, what I call sweet spots, where the competition isn't so super high. And you can't always go by Google Keyword Planner when they say high. If there's a nice monthly volume keyword, it's very applicable to the business. It's where you want to position your value proposition for your business. Then I go pop that keyword into the Google and see what comes up. And, if you're competing with, Amazon, JCPenney, Best Buy, we're testing, I don't buy a TV too often, Sam's, if you're really competing with all of that and you're particularly a newcomer, your website's a newcomer, you're probably going to have to go longer tail, more specific, more detailed. So that is how I utilize the customer journey and marrying it with the keyword research to come up with what the targets that I want to put into my content strategy or my pay-per-click. As I said, okay, these are just more examples. So you might ask yourself, okay, so I've mentioned writing content and doing pay-per-click, but content strategy, as I'm sure you all know, is way bigger than just putting content. So another way I kind of marry conversion optimization and search engine optimization, because I kind of believe that there's no need to rank, no need to be seen if you're not enticing enough for someone to want to explore or buy from you. So I marry those two concepts. I never just do search engine optimization without really thinking about the conversion optimization. So one way to do that is to, once again, return to your customer journey and think about what is the best way to consume that that content. So like a technophile might, they're probably watching a lot of YouTube, right? Because they're technophiles. So they're into that kind of thing. And to have a YouTube video ad that is kind of like a Be Like Me, because they're kind of, the technophiles are often like keeping up with the Joneses in a techie world. So that's one way to think, are they going to read an article on your website, or would they be more enticed to find you via a video ad? So I'm moving on down to here in where the customer is in the purchase stage. So think about ways to organize your information while an article, a review article that compares different models of 65-inch QLED TVs, that would probably be really helpful. But what else? How else can you go above and beyond to really make solving the pain point easy? Reading an article is probably good, particularly when they're in research, but when they get to purchase, having one of those little modules where you can select the 3 or 4 you want to compare, and it goes down and it says, you know, this is the generation, this is the kind of tube it has. I'm sure they don't have tubes now. I don't know. This is the type of display it has. This is how many HDMIs it has. This is, you know, all of those different attributes where you can just see them side by side. So someone can quickly understand, hey, this is worth $200 more. You know, it's a later generation and it's got more of this, so it's going to last me longer. So again, beyond just writing content, really think about how you present that content on your website. Does it need to be, you know, a tool like that? Or if they're in research, maybe it is better to just write reviews like you see a lot on CNET and Consumer Reports, that kind of thing. Some more examples. Oh, so in pay-per-click, is it on sale? Okay, so some people in the purchase mode would be looking for a sale. And one of the best things you can do is create a sense of urgency. And so using like a countdown timer on a remarketing ad. So if they've come out and they've checked out your website, if you can remarket to website visitors and they already know your brand, they've been on your website, and all of a sudden they see, hey, you've got a sale, but it's like for 8 hours only, and you've got a countdown timer on that pay-per-click ad, it can be very powerful to drive them right back, to probably go right back to the same side-by-side comparison or read the same review again, but they want to buy from you. Another example, and actually it's quite good for SEO these days because it sets you up as an authority, is to write step-by-step instructions for like setting them up. Okay, so if you write, like I mentioned here, have a quick setup link in a post-sales email, you know, that would be very delightful. Think about that. If you bought a TV from Best Buy and by the time you got home, you had a quick setup link in there that told you, you know, unbox it and do these 5 things and you'll be up and running. And oh, by the way, here's a more detailed thing about how to get your streaming going, how to show YouTube on your smart TV, having those detailed step-by-step, long, like 1,200, 1,800 words with videos and lots of images, that really lets Google decide that you are an authority. Your website is an authority on this topic, and they perform very well in search engine optimization. The reason is because they delight your customers. Anytime you invest in delighting your customers, and it's visible online, you're going to make Google happy too. And Google is quite often standing between you and making that sale. So the great thing is usually Google and your customer are on the same page. Are there any questions about how to do the search engine optimization, the keyword selection, or to think through the customer journey for your conversion optimization strategy? You guys are quiet.
Yeah, they usually are. We're taking it all in. I think once you get to a couple, 2-3 slides later, they'll start asking some questions,
Yeah.
right, guys?
I'm sorry.
So the key
Oh, someone's
here.
got a question.
Oh, great.
Well, I didn't mean to interrupt, but you did talk about keywords, and I did have a quick question on that. Say if I'm selling boxes in Houston, is there any opinion from you guys on which is better to put first, like Houston boxes in like a title tag or something like that, or boxes Houston?
That used to matter 3-4 years ago. Things like that would really, really matter. It does not matter for really SEO. SEO is really, it's more about the quality of the on-page information, the uniqueness, your silos that you've linked on your website, your off-page stuff. It's really more about that, and have you set up yourself as an authority on boxes in Houston. One of the ways to do that is to get people to spend time on your site. So when you're selling more of a commodity, like I'm assuming your boxes are commodities. If you're selling a commodity like that, one way to keep people on your site longer is to do videos. People will almost always listen to videos when they will not necessarily read a long page about boxes. And it should be helpful things like, how to prevent your box from breaking, how best to tape it, whatever. So by keeping people on your page longer, that boosts your SEO ranking with Google because they see, well, people like what you offer. So those things are more important than do you put Houston before boxes and boxes before Houston. But with that said, I will tell you always when you're going to write your title and meta description, always go Google the versions that, so you were asking, boxes in Houston, buy boxes in Houston, Houston boxes. Go Google them and see what shows up for 2 reasons. One, there's no hard and fast rules. What I just told you, I fervently believe it, but you might detect that, hey, for this search, it does seem to matter. Like the results change. These days, they rarely change, like boxes Houston and Houston boxes, that the results are going to be very similar. But if you detect a difference, then you've scored an anomaly and you win because you'll know the difference. But the real reason, the more common reason to go do that is you want to stand out. So you don't want your title and meta to say the same thing. It needs to be keyworded, your title, not necessarily your meta description, but your title needs to be keyworded, at least synonymically. It has to, have something about Houston and boxes in it, but it doesn't have to be exactly your keyword. But you want it to stand out. If everyone is putting boxes Houston, best price in town, you have to think of something else that's catchy. You want your meta description to invite people to click on you. So it needs to be different and unique from others. So if everyone else is giving really great sales pitches, you're going to have to be unique amongst those sales pitches. Did that help?
Yes, that's a great explanation, and I totally agree with the videos. Put a video on your site, that helps a lot too, I think.
Yes, it does. It holds them on your site. It also, you're more memorable. So people are using video more and more. So I think we all have to start using video more and more.
Yeah, I'd rather watch a video than read a long page, like you said. And you get a lot more out of it too, because you can see an example of how something might work as opposed to just reading and try to connect that with maybe some photos next to it or something.
We've got a client we're working with that has like just tons and tons of photos for this one project, you know, and we thought instead of just like a gallery of photos to just create a simple video, YouTube video, just some nice music as you scroll through the different images, just to keep people on the site a little bit. We thought we'd test it to see if that would help, you know, especially if they're perusing the site and it just seemed like, it was like 50 photos. So we're just going to test out 2 different types, but yeah, video for sure.
Well,
Yeah,
I don't know what kind of, but like, if it's a consultant or like, you know, the yacht broker that I work with, if it's like them, if they can talk through it versus it just being music, you know, to have
Oh, yeah, for
actually do a
sure.
voiceover and have them be, a lot of people are video shy, but if they can, if they're selling their services, or if their being and personality is part of the business, then it'd be very valuable to have them do a little intro and then do the voiceover. It'd be very powerful.
Yeah, and you can hire a professional narrator. You know, there's these services all over the place, like Speedy Spots, or in Florida, there's, I think, Sunshine, something or other. And a professional narration make your video a lot better.
Yeah, actually Fiverr and I've gone totally blank. It's a very popular Fiverr-like site. But you can go out there and send your script over and you can go out to them and listen to their demos and pick what you want. Like recently I had a client, they're a South American company, and they're penetrating the US market in cloud computing. And they wanted a female American voice with no accent, you know, a California accent, to do their voiceover. So I sent them 3 samples. They picked the one they wanted. We sent the script. She read the script. She was very professional. She asked questions. How do you say this? How do you, like, potato, you know, she said, how do you want that said? Very professional. And then my videographer was able to slow it down and kind of speed it up wherever he needed to match the video that he did. So I think it cost us, it was a 1 and 12-second voiceover, and I think it cost us $82, I think, something like that. So it can be very affordable. So this is just sort of wrapping up, tying it all together. The key to just getting the very last drop of juice out of your customer journey to help you with your SEO strategy, including pay-per-click strategy, is to consider in each of the different phases that your customer is going through, every single channel, you know, websites, social media, do you have salespeople, catalog, signage? Of course, this is, you know, not all of this is online, but what is offline needs to jibe with what's online. So even though, you know, if you're very website focused and digital focused, if it's your business or you have the kind of relationship with the customer that you can influence the overall experience of the online experience, just remember that your online experience extends. The salespeople can point people to the website if they know what's out there, if there's useful things out there. Salespeople need not say things that aren't on the website or that contradict the website. So it really dovetails, and it's very important. The customer journey goes way beyond SEO and conversion optimization. And it's really important to think about everything online, offline, every touch point that you have with the customer. You can probably glean, you know, what are they thinking about? What are they worried about? How are they looking for us? What are their intent? And then how can we best deliver that, you know, to not only increase conversion, because you're increasing conversion when you solve pain points. So how can you best solve these pain points for these customers? In fact, if you guys haven't read it yet, Christina wrote an article, it came out today, right? I just saw it in my email. You're muted.
Yeah, the newsletter went out. The blog's been live for a couple weeks, but yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I just saw it today.
Yeah.
So it's about Disney, and I won't give away anything, but
It's okay.
I assure you, Disney lives. They must have a war room that just has their customer journey map plastered with every single touch point and analysis, deep analysis into that. And of course, they take it down into their, into how people do their jobs every day. So as well as their online presence. So, but that's how customer journeys can be painful, because they are very detailed, they are very integrated, but no pain, no gain. And that's why I like to show people that SEO journeys can go down to helping you pick a keyword. They're so very useful that I highly recommend that people do them. So if you've never done a journey map, or you've done one, I encourage you to go back and revisit it and get everyone involved. If you did it for a client, be sure that all levels, the people that literally do talk to the customers every day, do work with the customers, solve their problems, as well as the executives, if it's a little bit larger company, be sure that they're involved so that you get kind of a 360-degree view of that customer's experience. And I'm always surprised at how, what was the example today? It happened and I thought, I'm going to tell that tonight, and it's gone. I had worked with a client for 3 or 4 months. We're starting at the scratch. They're a great company. They have a lot of value. They're offering a lot of value, but nobody knows about it, and they don't tell their story well, and they have technical problems on their website. So there's a whole lot of things, but I've been working with them 3 or 4 months, and we're trying to put together a whole value proposition, and we're actually helping them launch from Canada into primarily the California market for their industry. That's really hot right now. And after 3 or 4 months of working with them, I would have told you, not that I know everything, but that you could, that you really couldn't surprise me. And today we had been working with one of the VPs and a director of business development. And today we met with 3 more of the VPs of the company. It's about 50, 60 people company, I think. And they totally, they came up with something that I had totally missed it. So it's very important to get everybody involved with the customer journey map and with every iteration. So you have to kind of make it fun, because, if you go, hey, I found out I can do, SEO with a customer journey map again, they're going to be like, we've already done that, but it's actually a different point of view. So you have to make it fun, because it can be an arduous thing. But the deeper you understand, the more powerful your value proposition either becomes or gets told. The story of it gets told. So I hope that helped you.
Nice. Yeah, that was very helpful. I thought. What did you guys think? Unmute, guys. Unmute. It's
Yes,
okay
thank
to
you
talk.
very much. Thank you,
Not a
Wanda.
webinar. Anyone have other questions or comments? Do anyone have any experiences themselves when, in their own business that you want to ask Wanda about? How do I
add to, if you got another idea?
Yeah. Dr. T? I just love saying
No,
that.
No, it was very, very interesting. And I love the way you mapped out the customer journey from awareness all the way to loyalty. And the chart you had was very helpful. So thank you for that.
Yeah. We had an experience where we did a whole consult with the client. It was an energy, oil and gas. They sell very large oil and gas equipment. And we kind of had to do that journey from the point that they realized either something broke or they need this equipment all the way to the end, to the purchase. And, we'd look at their website and we're like, you've got blogs in here that are for college students. What is oil? How is oil made? And it was just this conversation about the content that people are specifically looking for and curious about that are going to help them make these decisions. So it was funny because when we made that change, we removed all these, simple
Definitional.
Yeah, exactly. But it was funny when we removed them, their traffic went down by 75%. And they were freaking, like, oh my God.
Right. But it was eighth graders.
Eighth graders and college students writing reports.
Right.
They would show up number one for how is oil made. And but at the same time, they had like a 75% bounce rate. When we made that change, it went down to like 10%. So I'm like, the right people are sticking around. That's what we want to see. So yeah, the customer journey that you just went through, that was it's so important, I think.
Yeah. And what happens in larger companies, when it's a mom and pop or it's your own business because you're a mom and pop, it sometimes is hard to like get outside of yourself. You kind of have to bring in a friend and a couple of margaritas, and kind of because it's you or it's a small team. But when it is a bigger company, their problem, I find that all the time. In fact, it's funny you mentioned that the client I was talking about today, they're even though it's kind of a small company, 40, their business is quite large, and they were stunned that out of their 280 pages on their website, about 30 of them have any traffic, and really only about 10 have any useful traffic.
Right.
So, and that's what we were talking with them about, their value proposition, that they've got all this great stuff, but they're not communicating that. And their problem is typical with many large companies. They hire someone to write content. They hire a marketing team. They hire and the content writer is almost always the guy who's just out of college, the girl who's just out of college, and they have no life experience at all, much less know about oil or water meters or whatever it is. Yep. And that is one of the hugest mistakes that they make. They spend time and effort writing things just because they think they're supposed to be writing it, because that's what you learned in school. You're supposed to increase your content. But if you're not writing about what solves a problem, pains or gains, if you're not helping someone solve a job, then it's not useful. And you may rank, but it won't be for anything that will create revenue. Ranking, my partner Carla and I, we say, why rank where there's no revenue? It's pointless.
Yeah, you can be number one, but yay.
Yeah, exactly.
Not number one for a phrase that nobody Googles or cares about. So
exactly.
Customer journey. Well, thank you so much, Wanda. I really
my pleasure.
Appreciate you coming on and helping me and helping everyone here. So stick around if you want. We're just going to get on WordPress 101 and help answer anybody's questions. You guys are stuck on something, because Wanda's got experience as well. Lots of experience with WordPress. So she can chime in as much, Dr. T as well. And I know a few of you guys. So if anyone's got something you're stuck on, an issue, please, what can we do to help?
Hi,
Unmute
Christina.
everyone. Yeah, hey.
Okay.
How are you?
Hi. Good. I am still beginner in, WordPress, and I am still learning. And thanks so much for these sessions. And these sessions are really very helpful for me.
Good.
Especially, for beginners like me. And so I have a couple questions about the SEO. When you complete a SEO section, it gives some color ratings, from red to green. So how important are these for the rating of your pages? That means, must it be all green, or what about, sometimes you cannot make it green. So how important are these colors?
Are you talking about the Yoast plugin? Oh, there goes my
Yes.
dang camera. Yeah, Yoast. Okay. Yeah. So Wanda, why don't you answer that? Because I know you use Yoast more than I do.
Yeah, sure. So it's not like trying to get into Harvard. You don't have to have all greens to be accepted by Google. So those are good guidelines. And there's one area, particularly unless you pay for the premium Yoast, there's one area that can be actually not a good thing if you're green. So, the keyword density, and they say you need to use the keyword many times. Well, if say it makes sense for you to write 300 words or 500 words for this content, it doesn't make sense to write a really long post, and you only had the keyword maybe in the first sentence and one other place, and it says that you're yellow. Well, if you use synonyms, in other words, let me think of an example. Why am I blank? Synonyms. Okay, so you're writing about luxury yachts, and you use the word, luxury boat, you use the word charter catamaran, you use all these words that mean kind of the same thing. Well, Yoast isn't smart enough, except in the paid version. Yoast is not smart enough to know that that's a synonym. And so it's much better to be yellow and not sound like you've used the keyword over and over and over, and use synonyms. Okay, so that's one example where it doesn't bother me to be a yellow. Again, the length, if it's cornerstone content that you're really, trying to rank and all of that, it probably needs to be as long as Yoast says. But if it's just a services page on your website, and you're not right now trying to actively rank it, then it's probably okay that it's 300. Sometimes it's better to write a deeper page that's longer, so people can look at your services page, glance at it, get the gist of what you do, and if they're interested, click on that deeper page. Okay, and that deeper page has all of that green, everything's perfect, and it's long and lots of keywords. So I can't think of any others. Is there one that's tripping you up that's hard to get to green?
Sometimes it is hard to make it green. Yes. And sometimes, actually I started with a Turkish language website for my nephew about the coffee, and it was just, for fun. And since it is a different language, it is very hard to make it green, because Yoast has difficulty to get, in a different language. And this is the first thing. And sometimes also, for example, there's a gallery and there's just one picture and just one paragraph of the writing. And so it is impossible to make it green,
right?
Because there are 15 rules to make it green. For example, if you make it just 10 good and 2 improvement and 2 or 5 negative, you just get red, rating.
So if on your website you have content for different reasons, right? Sometimes it's to introduce a topic, sometimes it's to explain something, whatever. Not always is it to rank. It's only on that cornerstone content, the the content that your whole point in writing it is to rank, that you do want to get the green. If you have a couple of yellows, if competition is moderate, you'll probably rank anyway. And just remember, you can try to write it like you want, and you're a few greens and a few yellows and a red or two, and see if it ranks. If it doesn't, go back and fix, and try, see if Yoast helps you fix it. But more often than not, it's just a good guideline to help you not forget about those on-page SEO things.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Does anyone have any other just WordPress questions? If you're stuck, a plugin's broken, or you're having some trouble with the design, I mean, heck, we'll open up the website and see if we can help you out. Is anyone stuck? Y'all are good. Yeah.
While they're thinking, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I have a website that was developed by my client over a long period of time, and we're trying to make everything mobile friendly. This is Catamaran.
Oh.
And she's known for a long time that her stuff was not mobile and that she was paying the price for it. But now we're really trying to make this happen. Well, a lot of her information, they sell catamarans, luxury yachts, like $750,000, $1.5 million yachts. So some of the cornerstone content, the stuff that's really important that people are going to pore over to try to make a decision, they are comparisons of these yachts, or they are comparisons of ways to own a yacht. They have different ownership programs that you can do no down payment, or buy it from France and get all these tax things, but you're limited to this, or you can buy it. There's a lot of different ways to buy one, and they compare them and they put it in tables, right? Like a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And so we've always had it on desktop. It was kind of okay because you could see it almost and you could scoot it around a little bit, but on mobile, it's completely useless. Any ideas?
Yeah, there's actually a couple of plugins to try that will collapse everything. Although it depends, I think, on how the information is laid out. I'm trying to think. There's one that,
Well, it can always be massaged to fit into, we can change it.
Yeah, you
Just
could
trying to
even
figure out.
Yeah, and I don't know. I forget what theme do they have. I forget, the theme 7, or is it the other one?
No, they don't. It's that Elementor. I think it's a
That's fine.
customized Elementor.
Yeah, so Elementor, what you can do, I think you could have one table that just shows on desktop because you like the way it lays out. Then you can hide it on mobile and have a different table for that, so that it's structured differently. I think there's some good plugins. There's one I'm looking at right now is make tables responsive so that it shifts. But I'm surprised Elementor doesn't have a proper responsive module for that.
Remember, I'm no Elementor pro.
Okay.
This was written by somebody else and I inherited it. So.
Yeah. I would look at it and see if in Elementor, if there's a way to adjust it. Because I know in Beaver Builder, you know me, I love Beaver Builder's my jam. And in there, I can make some adjustments on it so that things show up before the other one. I'm almost positive Elementor will do the same. If anything, there's got to be an Elementor option. Does anyone have Elementor websites? Does anyone know? No? Everyone's like, no.
Yeah, they're not good for SEO. It's such a hog.
Yeah.
Such a hog.
Make tables responsive is one plugin to try. There's another one I'm looking at right now. It's got 5-star ratings, just WP responsive table by Process B. And I'll put this in the chat.
Cool.
Does anyone else have any answers?
I know this isn't WordPress, but on Bootstrap, you can make a table responsive And so you can scroll back and forth, which isn't the, the best thing, but it works.
Kind of like in an iframe, sort of like that feel.
Yeah, it's not really an iframe, but yeah, like that. And what I do too is make that information downloadable as a PDF, then they can download it and look at it at their leisure.
Yeah, and that's what we've mostly discussed, but so many of these sailors, sometimes all they have is like their iPad or their phone. So we wanted to make it palatable.
I think your idea of like each column you swipe to see the next column, you swipe to see the next column. I think that sounds like a good way of doing it. And I'm sure Elementor, so it wouldn't be a table. Well, it would still be a table because you're going to want to have all those.
It's a horizontally scrollable table.
Yeah. You just kind of scroll through and you can see the different options. Yeah. 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 Well, even with the PDF, even if it's on there, that they download it and they just look at it it just opens up a new tab on an iPad. That way it's there. They can save it onto their iPad for research, come back to it. Yeah. Cause I don't know about you. I don't print anything, even in my house, but all right. Is that helpful? Is that some ideas?
I didn't think about looking for a plugin.
Anyone else got anything stuck? Any questions? SEO? Okay, I'm going to make you guys
Can I ask another question?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mentioned that, for example, I have a gallery and one picture on each page, or, for example, quotes or sayings about coffee, and one quote or sayings on each page, and there are 10 or 20 pages. So do I really use a different keyword for each page?
So you have 20 different kinds of coffee? Is that what you?
Yeah, 20 different pictures on each page. That means it is almost the same content. For example, a coffee picture, and a short paragraph of 20 pages.
Okay, you have 20 pages that have a short paragraph and a picture of the coffee, and there are different kinds of coffee?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, definitely. I mean, the odds of you ranking a page that's short with one picture is remote. But what it does help is it having each page represent one concept, one coffee. That helps your users, right? Because they can learn about each thing. And as you go back and you add more information, maybe you add a recipe that goes with that coffee. I don't know, so you can grow that on each page in a way that makes sense to your website visitors, right? This coffee and everything about this coffee. But you definitely want to use a different keyword for each one. That also helps your domain make sense to Google, right? Because it's a coffee website and they recognize it's all these different coffees. So that's a very good technique to use.
Okay, my other question is about using some pictures online. For example, there are some historical pictures. For example, picture of the first Starbucks store in Seattle. It is 1970s. And for example, what about using that picture? So is there any copyright issue about using that picture? Or for example, there is another picture belongs to 1900s. Just I found online or from the Wikipedia.
What I do is I go to Wikimedia. And because all of those are common, CC, what's that stand for? Common, Creative Commons. And so if it's out on Wikimedia, that means that there's no copyright. And you probably could find like the first Starbucks that would be there, depending on what you're looking for, the 1900s. But if you can't find something like that is Creative Commons, then I go out and I find the picture that I want, and I try to figure out who is the owner of it, and then I send them an email. So that can be tricky if you don't know. But I don't use images without permission unless they're Creative Commons. That's my role.
Okay, so I'm sorry, there was a disconnection, so I was barely hear you. So my understanding is any picture from Wikimedia can be used if there is CC sign, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so I do not need to put a reference to the Wikimedia, right?
No, you don't have to attribute it. No.
Okay, and any picture on Wikimedia, or are there any restrictions? Do you know?
No, as far as I know, there's no restrictions because they are all Creative Commons.
Okay, and also, I think I heard that some pictures over 100 years or certain years also can be used freely. So, do you know this kind of the age requirement?
I don't know. I'm not
think
certain.
I think
because
it's 50.
I googled and it says it is over 70 years or 100 years, so you can use it. It is public.
It depends.
Etc.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on it too much because there's still ownership to some of them, I guess. But honestly, I would do what you can to get to buy stock photos or take your own photos as much as you can, especially when you're doing, if you're worried about SEO, because you want unique content. And that includes photos. So if you can take some time to take pictures of the coffee in different forms, the beans, the bag, all that, so that when people come to your site, it's different than all the other coffee sites. And it's that your product.
Google knows that it's original too. But I understand you're probably trying to write a history page, a history article, and that's not going to hurt your SEO to write a history article and it's got reused photographs. I mean, if you had a photograph and it's 100 years old, I do not know. Maybe it's okay to use it, but if it wasn't, I would put an attribution there, and most people, well, no one's going to just sue you. They're just going to say, hey, that's my picture, take it down. So that's the way I try to minimize that, but I think that a historical picture, it would be fine to do that.
I know that, I am taking the other attendees' time, but I am sorry, but just this is my last question. So what about some famous people's pictures? For example, Howard Schultz, he is the creator of the Starbucks, and he makes some, speeches, and, he has some pictures somewhere and taken by, on internet that you can find. So what about using these pictures? That means Howard Schultz is making a speech on the Stanford University, for example, and there's a picture that I found. So still the same rules and regulations?
Yeah, I only use it if it's available on Wikimedia. If you see it in like a newspaper or a magazine, you can write to them and ask them for permission. And sometimes they give it and sometimes they don't.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
Thanks
it usually
so much.
belongs to the publication, not necessarily the person it's a picture of.
Yeah. If you go into the Google search, there's an option in Google Images to look for, the license of the photo. You still have to be super, super careful. I still don't recommend doing it too often, but yeah, I like Wanda's idea. If you find it, just ask permission to use it and they'll probably say, yes, you just have to attribute it to them. And they just want some, a comment on it, but you just have to be super careful because sometimes photos you find on Google, they're Getty images and they will not let you use them 100% unless it's editorial. Even then though, you still got to buy it, but you got to look at if it's for commercial use or editorial use. If you're making money off of your site, it's commercial. If you've got ads on your site, it's commercial. So you kind of have to watch those designations as well, but yeah.
Another good source for free images that you can't just find on like Pexels and places like that is Flickr. They have it's Flickr without an E. They have a setting that you can look for pictures even by shape. Like maybe you want a vertical portrait instead of a landscape, but you can look up, you can have a setting and say, I only want those that can be used for commercially, right? And then some of those will require attribution. They'll tell you when you copy them down, download them, and some don't require attribution. So that's another good source. And I thought of it because they have pictures of pictures. So like historical pictures, sometimes they'll have them. So you might find Starbucks and then you would know that that one's 100%, you know, legit, because you can use that picture off of Flickr and attribute it or not attribute it, whatever they require. But yeah, do be careful with it. Are you familiar with how to look for the image that are in Google that are free of, but royalty free?
There are some free websites that I took some pictures, for example, coffee tree or some coffee beans, but generally I use my own pictures.
So,
Right, and I understood just for your, you were going to do your historical thing. Good, you're going to show it.
So you go in here and you go to coffee, you go to the images and you got some settings and tools. You hit tools, you hit usage right, and there's Creative Commons, which is what Wanda was talking about. And then there's commercial and other licenses. There's also, when it was uploaded, GIF, clip art, color, if you want to do it, if you're trying to find an orange, right? So you can different orange colors, but you can usage right. So if you're looking for Creative Commons, so these are Creative Commons. I still am, you can't really go by this too much though, because like here's Flickr.
Yeah.
Here's a Flickr one, but Pixabay, I think they're free. Pixabay is another free
Yeah, they are.
website. Some of these other ones. So there's a few. There's Pick Repo. I've not heard of them. Pick Here, Pickist. So yeah, there's a few, but that's how you look for specific images that are commercial or Creative Commons. These two little options here.
Look
Thank
up
you
first.
for the
About the attribution, is there any specific section that I need to write the attribution, or where should I put the attribution?
A lot of times people want it in the caption, but you can put it at the bottom of the page. And I have put an image attribution link in the footer. It just says image attribution, and it goes to a page and it attributes, it says, this photo on this page attributed to so-and-so. It was a small website that I did that on, but I used Flickr images of the ship channel. I found my client actually uses these boats to move oil and we found those exact barges. And so we wanted to use them and we wanted the attributions, but it was on their home page. So that wasn't that sexy. So I put the image attribution in the, on its own page and put the attribution link in the footer.
Yeah, we've done that for like location-based pages. Like say we're trying to rank for certain locations, let's just say San Antonio, we'll go to Flickr and because it's really hard to find like unique photos. It's always this exact same photos, like Houston, exact same photo. And so Flickr is really nice. You can get some location-based stuff that others have uploaded. But again, they typically want you to give attribution. So if they say nonprofit or non-commercial use only, if you just reach out to them saying, here's what we're trying to do, would it be okay? Usually they're like, yeah, sure. And then we'll put like, just like Wanda says, at the footer of the blog or the page, we'll say, hey, image comes from, and then link back to the Flickr page. But yeah.
And I created my website in Turkish language. And when I checked the statistics, I realized that most of the visitors are from the US and from Europe. So because of that, I started to create a kind of more, professional website in English. And what if I use the same pictures in both websites?
Have you considered using Wpml? That actually, it just takes one page and it puts it in different languages. And you can edit it. So, because its translator is not going to be good, but it does that. It grabs your images and puts them on each of the pages. It just duplicates the pages. So if you did it by hand, that's fine. But there is
could you say it again?
Pardon?
I didn't catch the point. You said
There's a plugin called WPML for WordPress multi-language. And it does what you're saying you're doing manually. You put it on your website and you say, yes, I want all these pages to have an English version. And thank you, Christina. And it translates the page, and then you can go in and edit it so it's a nicer, more natural language. But it does it automatically for you. And yes, it copies the images on both pages. So you can do it manually, like you are doing, or you can use that plugin.
No, but you mentioned that pictures should be original. Otherwise, Google, just gets it, and that means duplicate picture or duplicate content. So
yeah, but this is different.
Go ahead, Christina.
Yeah, this is on different languages. This is different content, different languages, and they're smart enough to understand what you're trying to do. I wouldn't worry about having the same photo, because again, most everybody using these tools, they're definitely not creating by hand every single page, duplicating it in different languages. They're using tools like this, which is like what Wanda said. They're just pulling in these photos in each language, and Google gets it. They
see it's on your domain, and it's a different language declaration on each page, and so it's you don't get penalized for that. Google gets that.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, hopefully it's helpful.
Your time.
Yeah.
So thanks for your patience.
Yeah, appreciate. Yeah, you're welcome. So, anyone's got any questions? I think we're good. Next time, hopefully, everybody bring questions
and friends.
Bring friends. Yes.
Yes, I
we
have
a Facebook group. If you're not sure, we have the WordPress Facebook group. If you guys want to join it,
Someone has a question.
Oh, question?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, hi, Jordan.
First of all, thank you for the presentation. And my question is about the Google SEO algorithm. I took a picture for a niche site I'm working on, and in the background of the picture, there was a pretty evident Budweiser sign. And I spent quite a bit of time editing it out. But I'm wondering if the Google algorithm has some kind of OCR that can recognize that and basically if that would be bad SEO for your website to have like if they saw other logos and stuff like that.
Okay, so you have a picture that, Google will know that it says Budweiser. It does read images.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So not knowing the situation, you don't want it to say Budweiser. I
figure since Budweiser is like a 21 up, it might lower it on its priority because it would think younger people. Yeah. It wouldn't direct them to the website.
That's a clever thought. I have no idea, but that's a very clever thought. But yeah, I certainly, if you are marketing to people who are under 21, I wouldn't have the imagery there. I would Photoshop it into something else.
Okay.
But I personally don't think it would hurt your SEO. Like Google would go, oh, well, Budweiser's on here, so we're not gonna, have it rank. I don't really think that, but what's good for your visitor is good for Google usually. So
yeah, if you've got folks coming to the site and immediately leave that one page, that would be some kind of indicator to Google that something's not right. I think that would be more of an indicator of how your rankings would go. But yeah, I think Wanda's right. I think it just depends on who your customers are. So if that's, if you can't, I think it was a good choice to take out the Budweiser in the background, regardless. of SEO. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Interesting question. Huh. Never really thought that. Yeah.
But Google gets smarter every day.
Oh, here, that's another news. Did you guys check out Analytics, Google Analytics 4.0 yet?
No, I haven't.
Oh, this sucker is like powerful. You got to create a new property though. But it will, if you're logged in as Google, it will follow you. So if you're watching a YouTube video, you're logged in and you go to your website, it will track that person. You'll be able to see them through the whole journey. Talk about customer journey from the point that they watched YouTube till they got to your page to look at something until they went to another page. And there's more. There's so much more that they're doing, but it's a whole revamp of Google Analytics.
Yeah. Good for marketers, sucks for people.
Yes. More creepiness, But anyway, I actually just went ahead and created a new property for my website. Personally, I was just kind of curious what it was going to do. But
So when you say a new property, you mean a domain property? You have to use it on a domain property or?
no, what are the three designations? You've got domain property, then you've got a middle. When you look at hold on, let me log into.
There's a domain property and then there's the, I don't know what they call them, but like HTTPS with www.
It says properties and apps.
Yeah, you don't need a new account. You just need a new property. Let me go to my admin here. Yeah, it's property. It's called property. There's an account and there's a property level. Let me go into the other version that I have that's not 2.0 or 4.0.
So do you have to update your WordPress sites with the
No,
property
you
link?
got to add a new tracking
Okay.
indicator. So I use Google Tag Manager. So right now I've got two tracking, one the original and one that's Analytics 4.0. So two properties means two tracking IDs. So I've got a new Google ID number now.
Oh, I'm sorry. When you said property, I went totally to Google Search Console.
Oh.
That's no wonder you were looking at me blankly. Yes, I understand. So you have to have another additional property
Right.
under. Yes, thank you.
Right. Not
Sorry
a
about
view,
that.
a new property. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. So it looks pretty impressive, but like you were saying, Wanda, it's kind of creepy because we really.
If you guys haven't seen Social Dilemma, it's on Netflix.
I'm afraid. I'm so afraid to watch that.
You'll never stare into your screen the same way again.
Oh God. Yeah. Well, the thing I like too is that it was a video that I watched. Some guys were talking about all its features, and they pointed out that the problem was when people would land on your site and they would give you like how long they stayed on your site, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, whatever. Now that information is way more accurate. In fact, before it was like, it was so inaccurate, it just wasn't even worth using in any analytics. But now you actually can see what they're doing during that time that they're on your site. And so I'm anxious to see what that looks like. So it'll be interesting, but maybe that might be another meetup discussion, is this new analytics property. So anyway, all right, guys, it is 8:30. Thank you for all coming and asking questions. And thank you so much, Wanda.
You're very welcome.
We're
Thanks for
awesome.
the invite.
Awesome. So next month, I am working with someone that's probably going to be more on the developer side, possibly speed issues if you've got. He's pretty good about that. And but I'm still talking to him. We'll see how it goes. I'll post in the meetup and Facebook what we're doing. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Have a great evening.
Bye.
Great weekend. Bye.